So what I usually start with is the pillar and get it the size that I think it needs to be. Because the pillar is going to determine like the height of the stand. Oops. It says I don't want this really huge, I just kind of shrink it down quite a bit. So then I take the one plate, let's see, and then I think that's been sized down quite a bit, enlarge it a little bit, and rotate it. And what I'm doing is I'm building the bottom of the stand. I do this too for like tables, like you know, you've been at a bar and you've got like these standing tables, like the blue light drinking table. It's just kind of got like a small foot, and then it's got the stand and then the bigger top. It's kind of the same principle for this. You want to have the cake stand to have a base that it's actually balancing on. You can't just balance it on a little stick. It has to have some kind of a foot. And then try that again. And then you do the same for the top part, but then you flip it back. And of course you make it bigger. Now, if you decide that you want it to be a little shorter in distance, it won't matter too much if this is sticking through, because your cake's going to cover it anyway. But the only thing with using this particular item as a round cake stand is, again, anything you put on it, you have to be careful about how it sits, because this is super thin and it's curved to the point where the wider the item is, the more likely the bits of it will show out at the bottom if you're trying to make it super flush with the plate itself. Now you'll see that the cake, the chocolate cake, will actually sit on here, but this part will show through. So you'd have to find another way to top it. So we'll see if we can figure out something. If you don't want to lift it up though on a cake stand, you could just resort to just using a regular plate and use that as the cake bottom here. And pretend that it was there all along. Probably should like I think I keep hitting the wrong button. Something like that. But it's like there you go. So it's actually on a serving plate, tray, something like that. But for this one, we don't have the luxury of, you know, maybe you put like a skirt around this table so that you don't see the inside, or maybe you get one of those like the tubes. Like an exile tube. Oh, not that one. wrong one. It's the macaroni one. Okay, what is that? Hollow cylinder? Yeah, I think it's maybe this. Make sure it's, well, I guess it doesn't really matter if it's hollow or not. Not like looking at it. Oops. Getting kind of crazy there. But for instance, for this round table, you could hide that bottom part by using a cylinder piece. Create a more solid base. You shrink it up as close as you can to kind of fit the shape of it a little better, and then you don't have to worry about it showing. And then you've, you know, kind of created your own little personal table kind of thing. But for this one, we got the problem of how we're going to top it without it having something sticking out. So first we'll try just putting the cake on there in the first place. And see how badly it may or may not stick out the bottom. You see what I'm talking about, how it sticks out here? You have to be really careful about that when you're using this really thin plate as your serving kind of thing. I had the same problem when I was using it in the subway station diner. A lot of my little fake cookies and stuff kept showing through the bottom, and you want to be careful about that. Okay, so we have the base of it all right, and then you need to build up the tiers again. And you can, you know, be specific about how the tiers are sized. You know, if you want like 0.3 difference in each one, you could do it that way. I just eyeballed these and kind of fit it in how I wanted, but you can get specific about it if you want. So I've kept a 0.5 difference in each one. So there's the little tiered cake on top of the, right? But again, you're having to deal with this. So let's think about what we could use as the topper for it. If you're actually going to have a topper on it, maybe you can just get away with using some kind of a plant or flower. I think there's one that a lot of people like to use. Find the plant section here. Yeah, the pollen flower would probably be an excellent topper because it's thick, it's fat, and you could probably just slap it on there on the top and hide it. And the best way to do that is to have that be the start of the trail of flowers, and then do different sizes all the way down the side and cascading. And then, you know, you're set. If you don't want to use the renown though, you'd have to figure out other ones that would work similarly. I don't think I have any, yeah, I don't have too many plants I own already. We'll just kind of see if there's anything else that we might use. But that's definitely a good possibility, especially if you're making a cake for a girl or something. That would be very suitable. You can use the mushroom tops to give it some decoration if you want. You could even use those as your layered cake if you, rather than having this dark chocolate kind of thing going on. trying to think if there's anything else that's dark and round besides the vent tank that maybe isn't as long as the other one. And that one, I think there would be a problem with the bits sticking out there, and that one moves. I don't think there's any other round containers that would work handily. Now there's the Draken pots, but I think it would be too light. And it's got that spiky stuff going on. Of course, if that's the decoration you're looking for, that might work. Granted, though, that is pretty tall. Yeah, it is, Samson. Thanks for remembering. Yes, I'm 44 today. But it's your birthday because I made you a cake. I picked it because it was 3 letters. I could just put Sam on there. But, yeah, so I kind of have birthday on the brain. And personally, in real life, I'm not really one to celebrate that kind of stuff. We don't do parties or lots of cakes and stuff. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I know a lot of people do like to go all out. My mother-in-law is one of them. She gets really offended if you don't call her or send a card or give her a gift or, you know, make a big deal out of it. For me, half the time I do well to remember that it's my birthday, or even how old I am. But for a lot of people, it's an important event, so I figured this was a good time to kind of play around with ideas for ways to do different cakes and stuff. So we're trying to brainstorm a way to top this one so that it hides that tire mark there. Again, I don't have anything comes to mind really well. I have used the tan sacks a few times just because they're kind of the same color, not exactly, but kind of. Maybe we could use this one. It's gonna have that little trim around there, but maybe that won't matter much. Man, that thing's fat. Kind of like me. Let's see. But yeah, this week is kind of funny because it was my husband's birthday a few days ago. He's, for 4 days of the year, he's older than I am, so it cracks us up because, you know, when we met, we didn't realize that our birthdays were so close together. Just 4 days difference, so it's kind of amusing that you know, I can make fun of him that he's so much older than I am, and it's really not that big of a deal. It's 4 days. Woo-woo. Let's see. I think that's still going to be too big. It's going to show through the bottom there, but I'm going to try and hide it as best I can. Again, it's going to have that little trim there, but maybe that won't be such a big deal. Maybe it'll look like a 4th tier or something. Whoops. And I just kind of ruined that a little bit. That's not ideal, but one way to do it to kind of get rid of that a little tire mark in the center. Okay, as far as decorating, I tend to use the yellow flowers. I've done this, I practiced a few times on, I think it was this character, in fact. was playing around with different kinds of furniture like couches and chairs, and cakes kind of came into it. Because I know, again, people like to celebrate that stuff, so I was interested in how one would go about setting that up. And I guess maybe because of my natural girliness, I always picture flowers as being a prime suspect when it comes to selecting decorations. So what I did in the past is just pretend like these are edible decorations, you know, obviously. And then I just kind of went around and planted them around the cake. In a way that looked kind of natural, sort of. Hard to do because these have those awkward little bits that maybe you don't want showing. So it's tough to get kind of particular about it. But you want to show as much as you can. So what you do, or what I did, was I would pick one particular flower and I would work on it as the decoration, and then if the others happen to show up, then, you know, great, but if they didn't, then, you know, no big love loss kind of thing. The main thing is you don't want them like super out away from your cake, because you don't want them necessarily floating, because you want them to look like they're on, you know, inset into the cake. I don't know how a better way to describe it than that. So something like that. I'm gonna have to, let me move our makeshift lamp here. You can see this a little better. And how are you doing this morning, Samson? Are you ready for next week's visit to your plot to show off your moon base? Sometimes when I tell people I'm going to be visiting, they kind of go into a panic mode. I'm not done. I'm not done. Let's see. Where's that? And again, you don't want to use the same angles and the same position of your flowers every time, so I tend to kind of just wing it and kind of fake it in. Again, that's a big thing for me. It's just making it look like I knew it was going to be there all along. There's like a little trail of flowers, something like so. You don't have to get super elaborate. You can do maybe a couple of sitting in your chair doing nothing. Hey, I can relate. Typically what I do a lot of. You know, in between, you know, dishes and laundry stuff. In fact, I've got a couple of loads right now that are hollering to be paid attention to, but I'm ignoring them for the moment. No, I haven't looked at it since the last time. I did see that you had made some additions to your Elden lab, I think it was. Pardon me. And looked like you made it look a little bit more ragtag, as far as there's like fire on the stage now, or there was, as if it, you know, was kind of like crashed into and it's all in disrepair and stuff. And you added the fencing in the front where you have to kind of go through the security check. I kind of vaguely remember. It's tough for me. Sometimes people go, oh, well, you remember this? I'm like, no. because I visit so many houses every week. It's kind of easy to lose track. Whoops, I'm moving the add-on thing instead of the object. But I'm sure it looks good and ready. It would be nice to include it. Okay, that looks a little weird because the butt of the plant is sticking out, so I'm going to have to change that a little bit. Try it this way. Can't have the butt of the plant out there, it just looks bad. There you go, you got a trail of flowers down the side. You could do, again, you could do several trails, maybe 3 trails. Again, I like odd numbers for some reason, so you know, you don't want to do it all over. You can if you want. Yeah, shame on me for not remembering. It's a wonder I remember your name, Samson, because I'm that scatterbrained. It's horrible. I'm at home. I tell my husband that I'm old before my time because I'm one of those people that can be on a mission, like, oh, then I'm going to go to the next room and I'll have a thought in my head, I need to get this or I need to do that in that room. And as soon as I cross the threshold of the door, it just goes whoosh. And I'm like, what did I come in here for? And I can't remember. And I do that so much, it's horrible. So maybe it's some kind of early onset, some kind of brain disease of mine because I'm really bad. And my mom-in-law, I'm so disappointed because I don't know, I guess a lot of women are really big on remembering birthdays and anniversaries and anniversaries of when somebody graduated or when they died, or you know, just all these little dates and special memory kind of things. And I am totally not that way. Even if I have it written in the calendar, I don't check my calendar every day. So a lot of things just kind of go past me and I'm like, what now? You know, oh, is that today? I'm sorry, I didn't remember. But and I'm that way with my own. So it's even worse for someone that's a little, you know, extended family kind of thing. But she was disappointed because I'm not that way, because that's the way she is. She's like a walking library of information when it comes to family. She knows who's graduated when, from where, what they studied, who married who, you know, whose kid was born, you know, where they were born, how much they weighed when they were born. I mean, all these little nuance of details, and I'm like, who are you talking about? You know, and it irks her, but you know, well, what can I say? I'm just one of those types that just does not remember that stuff. I'm horrible at it. It's like driving around the neighborhood. I know the street I live on, but the street that it matches up with, you know, the crossway where the light is, I could not tell you what the name of that street is. I don't know anything around here. And it's super easy for me, clearly, to get lost. Part of that is I don't drive anymore. When I moved here to Belgium, I just kind of quit. I just kind of quit driving, partly because the only car we had here that my husband had was a stick shift. And yes, shameful me, I never learned how to drive a stick shift. I only know how to drive an automatic. So when you get in a stick shift, I just automatically kill it all the time. It's like, and I can't get the work of the clutch and everything to go smoothly. So I've just kind of gotten out of the habit of driving. I don't drive. So I think part of my not knowing where I'm at, you know, roads and landmarks and things, is because I don't drive. When you drive, you pay more attention to that because you know, it's necessary. But when you're a passenger, you just kind of stare out the window at nothing and just jibber jabber and listen to the radio and stuff, and you don't really absorb that information. And so when anyone around here goes, well, you know, you turn to the corner at such and such, and you go down to such and such street, and it's right next to such and such place, they could be talking Greek for all I know, because I have no idea what they're talking about. And it's really horrible, I know. I tell my husband, if one of us is going to go first, let it be me, because if he goes before I do, I'm going to be at a complete loss. Or I'll drive my son crazy because I'll be constantly asking him, can you drive me here? Because I have no idea where it is. Anywho, that's probably information not a lot of people need to know about me, but there you go. Some Carrot trivia right there. Carrot is a scatterbrain, has no clue what she's doing over here. Well, you know, that's for me, that's and what's hilarious is when I first moved here, and that's been over 15 years ago, I of course had a driver's license in the States, which is where I'm from. And all I had to do was turn in my US driver's license, and they awarded me a Belgian driver's license. And I'm like, I don't even know how to read the signs here. I don't know what half of them mean, let alone reading the street signs. You know, at the time I hadn't really gone to any kind of language classes or anything. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm shocked that they would just allow me to say, yeah, you're good to drive. And it's like, I don't know the rules over here. It's freaked me out because I thought for sure I was going to be required to take some kind of at least a written exam or something to familiarize myself with what the different signs and things mean, because they've got some goofy rules. Well, I say goofy, they're just different from what I'm used to. Like what cars have the right of way on what roads. Some of that doesn't really make sense to me. And if anything, I think I would be more of a danger to society if I had any rights behind the wheel. So I specifically just don't drive around here. If my husband goes before me and my son's not willing to drive me around, I'll probably just be doing a lot of walking. Thankfully, most things are kind of within walking distance, or use the bus or something. Even that kind of intimidates me because I'm one of those people that probably get on and then never know where to get off, and I'd be stuck with the bus driver because I don't know where I'm at. But okay, so that's two different kinds of cakes, and then two different ways of doing the like chocolate tiered cake. Again, you kind of have to get past the tire marks. If you don't mind that design, you can just pretend that it's supposed to be like a dark chocolate. If you're wanting a different kind of cake, if you want it to be more like a vanilla or just a different look than this dark, you could probably maybe get away with using the domes. Let me see if I can give an example of that. We'll do this one last one, and then we'll talk some more about gifts or actual decorations that you could use. Let's grab another table. Let's see. Drop it right here. Drop it like it's hot. Yeah, it's kind of amazing to me to think about, well, why is that not moving? There we go. How long I've been over here and how little I have incorporated myself into. It's like the language. I took, I think it was 2 years of kind of like an evening school class kind of thing to learn the language. And this was before it became kind of like a requirement. These days, I think a few years ago, they made it mandatory that anybody that was planning to live here or is living here has to pass a certain amount of classes and prove that they can fluently speak the language. I kind of got in just under the wire on that. So even though I do have a little diploma thing saying yes, I graduated from the class, I kind of snuck it in where I'm not like under the scrutiny of, it's not like they're giving me a solid exam and checking if I can actually speak it and understand it. And I feel badly sometimes, and of course I feel stupid too at other times, because people look at me like, why are you talking like that, kind of thing. So it's embarrassing to a great extent. But the trouble is, one, I'm a housewife. I don't work, so I don't really have any kind of forced requirement that I have to use the language on a daily basis. When you go to the store, it's not like you hold a lengthy conversation with the checkout cashier. She just says, it's this much, and you go, here you go, and thank you, and you're off. There's not too many opportunities for you to kind of get into a long conversation about whatever. If I did work, that would be different. I would be forced to use it on a regular basis. Kind of like when my son started school here. He had to really pick it up fast. And of course, being younger, he was able to absorb it a lot easier than I was. I'm kind of like an old horse. I've been stuck in my old habits too long to really completely meld easily into it. But I did take the classes, but the weird thing is, well, I wouldn't say weird, but they teach you, I don't know what that's called. It's like the general language, yet around here there's like a multitude of dialects. So I got in trouble a few times in the class because I started picking up, I guess, the Antwerp version of some of the way you pronounce things. And they were like, that's not the basic Flemish way you say it. Don't say it like that. You have to say it like this. And little things like that would confuse me, or, I wouldn't understand why I couldn't say it this way or that way. Because I would hear other people say it, just walking on the street, but I wasn't allowed to in the class, because that wasn't considered, classic Flemish or whatever. Now, I know this is sticking out in the bottom here, but I'm going to ignore that. We're just looking at other ways to make a tiered cake of a different color. It's a really big cake as well. Move that down a bit. But yeah, and then of course, because I don't work or really have any kind of social relations with anybody that around here other than family, when I do speak to someone and I try to speak Flemish, they automatically kick into English, because they hear that, they can hear by listening that either I'm really fumbling bad or I'm sounding like Yoda or whatever, and they just kind of jump in with English, because people that are multilingual, they like to show off and say, hey, you don't have to do it, I'll talk yours. And that's nice, but again, it lets me get away with not being forced into using their own language. So it's kind of a bad thing too. I think I've said in the past that my husband gets amused quite a bit when I go to the doctor, be it the dentist or a general physician or whatever. The routine usually is they speak in Flemish, I speak in English, and we go back and forth. We both understand each other, but we speak to each other in our own native tongue. Because like I said, I always worry that maybe I'll say something and actually mean something else, but think I'm saying it correctly. And they'll think, oh, you know, because I've always had this fear that I'll go like to a hospital for a surgery or something, and I'll say, you know, I'm supposed to, you know, get this arm cut off, and then they go, oh, well, she said her leg's coming off, and then they'll cut off the wrong thing. You know, that kind of deal. I don't want to miscommunicate, so I always make sure I use English when it's something important like that, because I don't want to have any confusion about what's wrong with me, you know, or what's going on. And he thinks it's really funny because, you know, with them, it's two different languages, but we are bantering back and forth like we're speaking the same thing when we really aren't. Because I do understand a good portion of it. There are some terms, or really a lot of it's like phrases, like terms of, you know, a form of expression that kind of throws me off sometimes. I don't quite get it. Or if it's like a comedian using a joke, I don't get the play on the words. Though there's a lot of times, like my in-laws will be watching something on TV, and they'll just be, everybody will be laughing up a storm, and I'm the only one with a straight face because I don't get the joke. I don't understand what they're talking about. So in those respects, I feel kind of separated from everybody because I don't quite fit in that regard. But I'm just kind of looking here as to how I want to do this. I don't think that works well. The problem with this is because I think it gets curvy, and you don't want it to be like a ball, like it's a little ball sitting on it, but you want some kind of thickness to it as well. So it's going to be kind of like a squishy tiered cake. Yeah, language is always a trick for me because there you go, some kind of a weird cake going on. Looks more like a stone decoration of some sort. You know, you could go even smaller and to get it more like this. But again, you may have to double up on the thicknesses to get it the right ratio, I guess is the right term. Like maybe like this. You probably end up having to use double the amount just to get it right. Use that as the base, and then that don't work. Let's bring this down. I promise this is, I'm trying to make some sense here. It's not working smoothly. That's what I get for talking while I'm trying to do this. Dome. Foreign dome. Oh, I got gome. Can't spell. Let's see, we need 3 more, I think. Should put. Whoops. What did I do? There we go. I'll figure it out. And then for the inner tier, we'll go with 5. Might still be small. This is a little fancier looking cake because it's got like multiple layers. Just because of how I've had to put it together to kind of get the thickness up there. But you know, maybe somebody wants to role play a wedding kind of thing, and that would be an ideal way of having a wedding cake. Plenty of space for like if you wanted to. Say a little couple kind of thing on there. Let's see, I guess I'm gonna have to size it up so I can move it over here. There you go. Guy and the gal. Little wedding topper. Wedding cake topper. Anyway, so those are some examples of different ways of putting the cake together. Again, you don't have to keep them round. You can make them square if you want. In fact, you would probably have more material options if you went with the square. Just keep in mind how you're going to showcase it. If you're going to do it on something like this plate, cake stand, you're going to have to really be careful about what items you use because you don't want them showing through the bottom. If you're not so concerned with that, then you can get away with a lot more materials that you can use for certain aspects of the cake. And again, maybe you change up how you're displaying it if it's going to affect what's showing at the bottom. Like this table, for example, we just added a base to it. If you go with the countertop method, then, again, you're kind of free about what things are sticking out where, or freer, I should say. As far as decorations, really anything goes. It just depends on what you're aiming for. If you're wanting letters, then stick with things that are fairly narrow. And again, depending on what kind of leeway you have as far as what's visible beneath the cake, you could pretty much use anything. Bananas, 2x4s, neon signs, pillars would probably be really good. Just keep it kind of, at least for your own sake, to make it easier, simplify it. If someone's got a really long name, try and use a short version, or use just their initials, or just the first letter of their name, the first name. If you want to decorate it with other items like flowers, things to make it look like there's confetti on it, or if you want to actually have like a polka dot design, just find something that works for whatever kind of decoration that you want and just go with that. You can personalize the cakes by adding other elements like with the cake, the wedding cake thing here. If they're really all about carrots, or some other specific kind of plushie that would be good at representing the couple, then use that. If, say, they're like my guildmate that had a birthday, they're a mechanic, use mechanic bits like the hammer, a box of bolts, that kind of thing, and just pretend that you've fashioned it out of fondant or something and go with that. As far as decorations and things, probably it's not very colorful. We have various lanterns. We have the green lanterns, the red ones. We do have the red balloons. Unfortunately, we don't have any other kind of color balloons unless you get the actual fab kits that have the different varieties on. I think there's a few other colors that might be on those. But if you're wanting something a little different, you could, for instance, try the hanging cables. Say, let's just throw some pillars out here. Again, we're just going to pretend this is like a little gathering platform kind of thing. I'm just slapping these out. I'm not really looking at them lining up and that kind of thing. So we have the hanging chains, we have hanging cables, we actually have hanging lights and things that you can use. But if you're wanting to fashion your own, that requires a little bit of creativity and figuring out what you might want to use. So let's just try the cables. I figure we're gonna probably need 3 per section. So I'm just gonna lay 3 of them out here. And the idea is just to kind of quickly slap this in here. Again, it's not going to have like any kind of primary colors that you would expect for birthdays, like using greens and yellows and reds and things like that. Again, when you're hanging stuff that people may walk under, make sure that the height is agreeable and not have them get stuck under there. I've had a few guildmates that will decorate and then realize later that people can get stuck because of it. Just reloading UI because it's starting to get a little laggy there. Oops. And all I'm doing is just kind of seeing if I can make a little roped kind of decoration here. Now this would be good for like holiday garlands and things like that, but for the garlands you would probably want to use more greenery. Like the fallen pine trees are really good because one, I think they don't have a trunk on them, or if they do, it's pretty small and they're pretty straight. I mean, they have a little bit of a fluted end on the one side, but they lend themselves really good to just having some kind of a garland trail. And of course, because of this, you're gonna want to have a top, but a reason for them to attach there. So if I can line this up in a way that looks believable. Excuse me. Wow, that's again, I'm just kind of winging this in here. It's going to be kind of messy. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the possibility that one can go with if they want to add in some kind of holiday decorations or festive decorations, and not resort to only using like those that come on the party lot plug or the festive festival plug fab kit thing. Those are great for quick, but if you want some extras to actually go like inside the interior of your home, then you have to kind of come up with your one way to do that is we have those flag garlands. So flags, you automatically, or I do, think about the triangle pieces. Don't have to use a lot of them. And you can use alternating colors just to kind of give a little variety. You could use the same color if you prefer. You could use varying sizes to give, again, a little variety. We're going to go with uniform shape, size, I guess. And kind of always start out with a center point. And again, when you're making something like this, you're going to have to double check that it's high enough that it doesn't block someone walking underneath. And if you want it to be pretty from any way that you're looking at it, obviously you may have to double up on your decorations, but we're just making it look pretty from the one side. Particular in that respect, we're just doing this kind of little quick little thing. Now you could use the hanging chain if you just want a straight across kind of thing, like if the rope or the garland is like really taut, then you can do it that way. But usually you kind of imagine that the garland's kind of loopy. And then like so, kind of a quickie version. Probably not the best way to do that, but anyway. You get the idea. And you can make it like just the 3, or you can go up to the 4, but keep in mind with them so close together, they'll probably overlap here. Maybe you just want one hanging down right from there. You can make them smaller so you can get them a little bit more. And again, you can vary them so that they have a couple of orange ones and a couple of exile ones. And just alternate it just to give it a little different, because I mean, like I said, we don't have a lot of primary colored kind of items that you might can use. We do have the danger signs that you might could get away with as a little triangle piece. That would serve that. It looks like these lighter ones would probably show up better than the wooden ones are. But this is an example of a way that you could add an extra little decoration if you want. Mim's holding it. Okay, thanks. With one L. I will probably try and check that out today, or at least sometime before the end of the weekend, because I like to kind of prep a little ahead of time as far as getting things set up for the next tour. Wow, that's like so. Do it like this, maybe. So there you can have like the main one up above, and then have the other ones drooping down, that kind of thing. But you get the idea. I'm not going to build the whole shebang. That's one way to decorate for like a garland of some sort. For actual gifts, let's set up another table here. It's cheap and it's pretty wide. Okay, so say you want to do an assortment of gift packages, be it for, again, Christmas holiday, birthday, anniversary kind of thing, wedding gifts, whatever. And you don't want to necessarily rely on just using crates or boxes, other kinds of containers that most people would probably resort to. There's also chests that make nice little gift kind of things. I mean, even this one kind of comes with a ribbon already, so it looks like it's sealed. But if you want to come up with something a little different, you can use similar ideas that we had for the cakes in building your own kind of your own box. So let's say we're going to do we'll make a Cassian box. We're just going to lay out 5 pieces here. And first I'm going to get like the size that I want. Figure that'll be pretty good size. And then gifts, they can come in all shapes and sizes, but we're going to go with the traditional box, square little box. And that will give us our height of, wow, that kind of wigged out, didn't it? So I'm matching it up to the edge of the table there. You can make this smaller, you can make it bigger, you know, because you're pretending it's filled with something pretty nifty. Who knows what might be in it? Might be a person for all we know. Maybe it's a giant plushie or a put together bicycle or something that you got for your friend. It could be all manner of things. So, you know, depending on what kind of gift you want to role play that's in there, then, you know, that might determine the shape of the box, the size of the box, that kind of thing. You know, for example, if you're saying that it's a living pet, you know, maybe getting them a pet, then you would want some kind of a box or crate with some kind of breathing holes or slits or something to represent that there's something alive in there. Okay, so that's a really quick little box, little cube. Now, if you're wanting to give it some kind of ribbon or something, one way to do that would be to use, you could use all manner of things. Again, something thin, something that you can get away with leaking into it, but having it look the way you want. And I figured the green pillows were probably okay. So we're just gonna wear this up. And again, I always find working kind of at regular angles to be the best. Because when you do, then when you turn it, I don't know, it's better. But you don't have to. And of course, like for this object, it doesn't necessarily work like you expect it to. It's at an angle anyway. It may not work exactly like what I'm expecting because for one, it's got many angles here. This might not be the ideal example. I'm determined to get the green pillow to work. Something like that. And then buy several of these. I can see I'm going to need quite a few. Maybe that'll be enough. Now I need to close in the gap between the corners here, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this, I'm going to rotate this. See if I can get it kind of snuck in like I want. I don't know, something like that. Like I said, it's probably not the best example. But I think you get the idea. You just pick something and kind of go with it. Something narrow and lends itself well to kind of being guided and shaped a certain way is probably the best. Have to get it to kind of go around the edge there. And it's probably not, yeah, directly in the middle, which, you know, you want to do it nice and prim and proper, it would be that way, but because again, this is just a quick and dirty kind of example. You could use bananas, pillars. Pillars would probably be lend themselves pretty well to it. They're straight, and they've got those little nubbins on the end. But it just depends on how you do the design. It might work for you, and it might not. Need some more green pillows. I also picked the pillows because they're cheap, easy to get a hold of. Again, if you can get a hold of something else that's more suitable to your needs, then, you know, obviously go for it. If you don't mind spending renown for like those flowers that I talked about, then, you know, go for that, because it'll make things a lot easier the more options you have. But for like me, I kind of stick with the cheapy stuff and what's readily available and easy to get a hold of, and that does kind of limit you at times. Okay, so that's a quick little box. Now, if you want to get fancy, you could just throw in one of these extra pillows as like a topper, the bow. Want to get even fancier, add a second one, just kind of rotate it a bit, just so that it doesn't look like everybody else's. And there you have like a little gift. You turn it on its side, make some other kind of little design with it. There's lots of different options when it comes to this, because it's basically just whatever you can imagine that might work. That kind of thing. Maybe it's got a handle or something. Could add a couple more coming in at this angle, so it looks a little more like a poofy kind of a bow. That kind of thing. Anyway, that's one example of a gift wrapped box. You could just straight up go for the pillows themselves. you know, make a little box out of Chua pillows, or just use one Chua pillow and then add a little bow to it. These ones with the tassels, those are a little more tricky, but you could do like I'll show you them in here in a minute. Okay, so, you know, like I said, gifts can come in all shapes and sizes. Maybe you've brought them a bottle of wine. So you'll have like a cylinder type of gift. You could use the cylinder straight up, but again, you know, it doesn't quite look like wrapped paper kind of things. So pillows kind of lend themselves to that because they have these little designs on them. But again, you can just build it up however tall or skinny you need. You could actually do another set of like 2 or 3, a little smaller, to kind of make it look like that's where the end of the bottle is. You know, kind of like how you would wrap one in real life. It'll have the shape of the bottle, but it's not, you know, they won't be able to see what the brand is. But you could just top this with something to look like a bow. You could use plants as a bow, possibly. Maybe the bushes. Any bushes that might could be used. I don't see anything off the top of my head that really hits me as something that would be a good gift topper. You could probably use any of these, but not something specific that catches my eye. Maybe just use another pillow. We'll use the star pillow maybe. Oops, did I create that? Yes, I did. Now maybe you don't want to use purple on purple, but for the purposes that we have here, I'm going to stick it on there like that. Anyway, just some ideas. For the box, if you don't want to use just the walls or the floors or whatever, you could try and use the pillows. The main thing is these little tassels are going to be kind of a pain, I think. But I'm just going to lay out an example here of what I'm talking about. Make it look like a little gift. Oops, I think I created that. Try that again. I'm so bad with punching the buttons here. I'm just guessing about how wide it should be. like a strange porcupine gift, maybe. Oh, come on, copy and paste for me. So again, it's kind of just whatever you feel like putting together. You want to be a little more original than just using the given boxes and crates that we have. This is an alternative. It's not going to be super perfect in all cases, depending on the materials you use. It almost looks like a pincushion. But at least, you know, you get a variety of colors and shapes and designs, and that kind of just adds to the whole, you know, what's in the box kind of thing. You know, you don't know what might be in it. So yeah, there's some ideas for someone that wants to celebrate a special day with someone else or for someone else, with a group of other people, and they want some props to include in their house, kind of represent those things. This is some examples of how you can go about setting that up. I'm sure there's many other ways you can do it. You don't have to do cakes. You could do cookies. Maybe you can come up with a way of doing, you know, bowls of ice cream, that kind of thing. You could pretend that the hologram statues and stuff are maybe ice sculptures. Or come up with a way to use, you know, crystals and things to make an ice sculpture, like the tiny crystals. If you can get a hold of a bunch of those, you could actually fashion some kind of a crystal either in the shape of the person's name or something that represents them, you know, whatever. Kind of goes back to the monument project that I was working on not too long ago. It's kind of using your imagination about how you want to celebrate whatever it is you're wanting to celebrate. Garlands is one way to kind of add a little bit of thing. You could use even the pillows. Maybe the green pillows would work if you want to use some green garland for like an Oran birthday or something. But yeah, the pillows would work. If you want to do the flags, these would work. Probably the danger signs would work. Even though they're squares, you can still get them to kind of look like flag bits. Obviously go for the cheaper one instead of using the one that costs renown, unless you just have to have the different design on it. I don't think that's necessary. If you want to keep it kind of naturey, go with either vines or pine trees that are, you know, like the fallen pine tree kind of thing. Those lends themselves really well to garland trims. We think anything else? Just kind of just let your imagination go. These are just some ideas. Folks will probably come up with a lot better representations of things, especially if they have the time and they're really getting a little precise about what they use and how they use it. You know, they can come up with some really nifty ideas. So this is just to kind of get the thoughts going. If you have a birthday coming up, or you know of someone that is, and you want to kind of surprise them with a little extra something in game, then this would be a fantastic way to do that. Have your guests dress up in specific colors if you want to go with a certain kind of a theme. Maybe you want to do like a masked ball. Make sure everybody wears a helmet that has some kind of face covering. That would be one way to do it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a kind of a off the cuff, like workshop kind of thing. I don't know what else you would call it. Brainstorming session, something like that. For some ideas for party gatherings and that kind of thing. If you don't want to just resort to whatever the game already has inset for you, if you want to do custom stuff, personalized kind of decorations and things, this is one way to approach it. One of many ways to approach it. So I think that's it for today. My throat's already getting kind of dry, so I'm thinking it's about time to head off. I appreciate those that have dropped by and chatted with us and given us some ideas and listened to me jabber on and on. Tomorrow I may come up with another few ideas for party gatherings. If not, I'll think of some other kind of topic to play around on. I think this is what we'll do a lot on filling up some of the time between my major projects, is just filling in like little idea projects that people can, say, oh, that kind of gives me an idea of something I can do, and they can just go. It's going to be really kind of a quick, not perfect kind of way of doing it, just stepping out some ideas and then letting you guys have fun with it. So until next time, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.